a project. It is an inevitable part of our projects, and we are involved in this. So there is three P's actually in the junction of this: economy and social. Studies. So we, a child is so these are the projects here.
Although we had some problems while we were constructing, and people live in a happy and in a comfortable way. And this is what we wish. In this respect, we have this passive AV concept. And one of the key advantages here, we have this thermal comfort and providing these clean and also humidity issues, which deforms buildings when there is no sunlight, and we minimize all these issues, which prolongs the life cycle of the building. And that means we have this type of prolongation. We have this issue, and these are luxury buildings. However, we have different types of building concepts here in this passive house concepts like schools or other type of public buildings. So it is not only the individual houses, but also public administration houses. But in this respect, those who live upstairs may require mechanical isolation and also some other requirements like the building envelope and also facade. And it requires a diligent activity, and it provides us an important high insulation, leads to comfort as well as reduces costs and also reduces the energy consumption. Of course, this reduction in consumption is important. In this respect, we have this commissioning system. And the design team and also the owner of the building and also the operator of the building. And it is one of the stakeholders among the stakeholders that I just listed. Including firefighting systems and also water irrigation. And it's all about commissioning. And commissioning is one of them. And when we use the term commissioning, what do we mean by this concept? And in the US specifications, this term is in use for a long period. It is not design. It is all about the project owner's requests and needs are met at the highest level. and it also provides a more comfortable conditions, and also it provides some other advantages in terms of cost. It provides checklists and also verification lists. On the basis of this planning, the owner of the project has certain demands and needs, and all these demands and needs are reflected in the document based on this project. And we have this design stage, and also we have this pre-construction phase is followed by design and then construction phase, and then to the operation part. And it is an active process till the end, and it is a sequence of the issue. So commissioning is about operation, and you can see the procedure of the commissioning. And of course, there are certain advantages related to this concept. It prevents delay in project delivery because designing phase may face some delays because of the calculations. So it is like the case of third party, because this third party keeps an eye on everything and it minimizes all other risks throughout the process. So what about the passive house challenges? We have two components here, because the commissioning for the building envelopes or the outer facade, especially for windows, doors, heat insulation, thermal bridges, and also air tightness. As for the mechanical electricity automation systems commissioning, we have ventilation, we have air conditioning, and in some cases, we have also the use of hot water, renewable energy, lighting, and also automation. So when we look at the concepts of test and commissioning for the passive houses, we have these ASHE standards. We test everything here, and then it might be minus plus 10, and then we have this balancing, and then we have this random checks to see if there is any problem. And this is why we call it commissioning, and this is how the commissioning works, because this commissioning includes the verification as well. And this is a process from beginning to the end. And we have two concepts here. The first one is ventilation, and an independent authority adjust and make arrangements regarding the ventilation system's rate. And we have the flow rate of the ventilation system. The second one is the air tightness test. The procedure includes a checklist to be used in this process. And this checklist is, of course, recommended by the passive house concept, and it has these mechanical quality check and also commissioning authorities validates. And its working system is very simple. You just check passed or failed, or you say check once again. So these are the options for this type of issues. Of course, outdoor air and also exhaust air and also intake clean air at this 3 meter above ground air pollution, odor sources protected from manipulation or rain, snow, and also these type of details. And we have also ventilation systems for indoor and internal units and also making terminal units ready. It's like a startup, and it is the checklist of startup functional tests. And at the end, if there is fire system here, and then it controls everything, it does not go into details, but it checks what needs to be there. And the system works on the basis of this system. And of course, the commissioning produces a report as well. In order to produce this commissioning report, there is need for measurement, and we can call it TAD report, as we call it, testing, adjustment, and also balancing. We can call it the report of testing, balancing, and also adjustment. So we have ventilation and also heat recovery system, or if it is sent to the neighborhood, then we measure it, and then the flow rate is noted, and then we check it. And of course, there is this balance, and also the range should be minus plus 10%. And this is the system. In this respect, in addition to this heat recovery system, in order to achieve cooling and heating purposes, there is this mini chiller or an outer unit. Is not included in the report. It pays attention to fresh air only. And the second test is the air tightness test. And we have this structure, and this testing aims to check whether the air tightness is achieved or not. And this concept checks below door test fan, etc. And these are important according to the location and the size of the building, and also it is assembled to test the system. In this respect, we have this blower door test report, and it is EN 13829 tests and standards, of course. And we have these comments, windows, doors, and junctures, and also assembly points, or if there is any assembly problem, then the report indicates all these details. If we have this test, and if it is not possible to test part by part, then we can use this thermal camera. As you see on the screen, it covers the whole house, and then we have this standard. On the right side, you see the passive house thermal test, while on the left it is the standard construction, and we see big heat loss. And we have these two tests, and this passive house criteria are met, and we have this manufacturing in the field, and all these process needs to be taken and carried out in a diligent way. And of course, HVAC commissioning procedures may make an added value to the system. We see the roof to the junctures, and we have these water, air, and vapor barriers. And we can have these type of details that in this respect, there are different testing procedures for the building enclosure tests. There are different disciplines which use different terms, and we call it commissioning. And there are some tests to be taken to achieve the performance standards. Because in the final point, we have all these issues, and sometimes there might be some delays or there are some problems towards the end, and we need to pay attention to the operation part. Especially high quality projects need these type of testings to eliminate these type of problems before they occur, so that all systems work properly and all systems work efficiently. In this respect, in addition to the location, there is this heating, ventilating, air conditioning, irrigating, plumbing, and also domestic water systems, and also depending on the quality of the air, indoor air, we need to check all other relevant parts and components. It is a procedure, it's the verification, and this verification needs to be based on documentation. This is the idea. This is the idea of commissioning. That's the end of my presentation. Thanks for your patience. Thanks, Mr. Berk Kurtulus, for your presentation. Now, I would like to move to Selcen Nur. Hello again, welcome to our session. I would like to introduce you. She was born in Ankara, and in 2009, she studied the interior architecture department, and then she completed her MA, and she completed her PhD in 2020, and she works as a research assistant, and then she became a professor in the same department. And she works for the Nişantaşı University, and she continues her academic activities at Nişantaşı University. Yes, the floor is yours. Please share your screen. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I think you can see my screen now, right? Yes, we can see it. So you can present your slides. Hello again. I will talk about the approach. So I will analyze the system, a system proposal over the integration of building energy and technology and applications in architectural design process. This is an issue, and As we all know, the environmental problems are getting worse and worse. Apologies. So we do not see your slides. Can you see it now? Yes. So it is full screen now. Can you try it again? So it is full screen in my version. So you need to go back to StreamYard and then you will share it on StreamYard. I hope it works now. Yes. Thanks. Generally, we have these problems. The environmental problems are a result of the rapid increase in population and also urbanization, unplanned urbanization, and housing problems. Of course, unplanned industrialization, and of course, the concentration in industrialization, and especially the use of pesticides and also artificial fertilizations and also the use of detergents, and unfortunately nuclear tests and also regional wars are the key parameters that affect the environmental problems, that cause the environmental problems. We have three main areas, that is air, water, and soil, that affect all creatures in the world. And these are serious environmental problems. And as a result of all these problems, we need to change the energy efficiency habit, and we need to adopt a new philosophy. As we all know, energy resources are limited, but we consume it a lot. And there is need for alternative energies that are renewable, that are environment friendly. And also we need to prevent this waste, and also we must reduce the environmental pollution. As regards to the soil pollution, it is mainly the biological factors, and we have this biological agenda, and these biological agents, fertilizations, and also mud, which are important for us. And ingested mud is also important, because we have these human, birds, animals, etc., and also agricultural practices, and also radioactive pollutants like radium, thorium, that reach soil, and there is this leakage of these radioactive pollutants. When they reach the soil, they create certain problems for us, and also urban waste, because urban life results in urban waste, and then we have commercial waste and also individual waste, and we also have this sewage waste, and the sewage causes pollution in soil. Especially industrial wastes are important for us. We have petroleum, this oil, some other agricultural agents, and also pesticides. These are other important elements on the ecosystem. And of course, the soil pollution is a result of a circle. They are affecting each other. And if we look at these agents and this vicious circle, we see that this food, fertilization, and also waste, they need to be reduced, and we need to return to natural life, and all these organic materials should be chosen so as to reduce CO2. And we need to make all our habits, all these agents, a nature-friendly one. And when these pollutants reach soil or water, there is need for filtration system, and also climate issue, and also regulations are important. And also we need to prevent soil deformation, and also it is important for the drought. Another element is that the ingredients in soil and also minerals are important for us. It's like food, and then pesticides we have, and of course we have some other organisms, and we need to act in a way to provide habitat to all other creatures, and we need to eliminate this toxic effect. And if there is flood or extra water and these type of extra problems, and resources need to be used in an efficient way, and we should not change the genetics of all these products so as to maintain the quality of soil and this infrastructure, and also some aesthetic artificial designs. And we need to talk about the water pollution. And it is important for us because we need to produce food, and also we need to have this type of issues.
When we look at water pollution, we see industrial waste, and also the sea waste and sea waste areas, and of course, and the sewage system and wastewater system, oil leakages, and of course the water pollution because of agricultural effects, and also global warming is another subject. When we look at the air pollution's effect on the ecosystem, the first parameter is the fossil fuels, the incineration effect, and there is the industrial emission and carbon emission, and also indoor air pollution. And also that should be supported with the systems. And there is also the fire outbreaks and microbial degeneration process, and also the public transportation is not supported, and when individual transportation is more, there are types of pollutions, and also open incineration of the waste, and also construction and demolitions and agricultural activities, and also chemical and synthetic products use. And for the alternative energy resources, so that the soil, water, and air pollution, and this is in the artificial environments, there is less energy use, and also so the ones which will cause less emission will be preferred. And there are the energy types that we have to look at, as we can see. Solar energy, alternative, one of the alternative energy resources. And also hydel from water. And also there is less energy use. And also using the energy in the highest level possible. At the same time, as I pointed out, since 2017, the standards are endeavored to be prepared, and with different systems, the different organizations, by the ministry, there are other systems. So when we say energy efficiency is a maximum and optimum performance and minimum energy expenditure. We cannot say this like that. There are different parameters to be taken into account in this regard. As we look at the slide, so there is the developing, of course, theoretically developing a system, and this is developing technology for the users as well, and there is a self-direction, and with simulations it is supported, and it can be foreseeable before, and of course in global level, in all the regions, in all the climate zones, it can be applied to all the systems, and in terms of energy consumption, it should be supportable, and of course it should be self-sufficient, and it should be in line with the architectural conservation and preservation principles. And with the globe becoming more and more hot, Of course, these should be taken into account. Of course, there's the definition is ever changing within itself. When we look at these systems to make more sustainable, of course, start from the design and the process. Starting from the design process, it's the whole process actually, and it covers the final product as well. And it is actually a system which gives a feedback to each other, and of course it is about using energy efficiently, and also in terms of the measures and methods to be taken into account for minimization of the consumption. From this perspective, of course, the life cycle of the materials and buildings have to be checked, and we see an agile methodology. It is a part of the transformation, and in this system, with certain changes and with certain technological advancements, the materials should be produced in a way to harm the nature less, and it should be reused, and of course the capacity should be increased. So it is becoming a part of transformation, and also the materials life cycle should be objected at increasing, and at the same time the building life cycles should be increased as well. For example, 10 years ago, the building life cycles about 30 years, approximately 30 years. However, since the production, we can say that 50% of the 50 years of a life cycle is there, and of course, the systems are there, and it could be used in this way. And there is another approach, and it is from cradle to grave approach. It is about the product, and it encourages the life cycle extension of the product, and at the same time in all the energy policies, and like sustainable development projects, there is a kick, it should be evaluated in the public policies and product development, and through analysis of the energy use in the building, the design, all the performance evaluations applications should be developed. It is about the increased durability and product life extension, and at the same time there is the increased resource productivity, and following that, after following the increased resource productivity, there comes the slower consumption and resource throughput, and it will be turned into sustainable consumption. So that is sustainable parameter, the parameter on the sustainability can be evaluated. So when we look at the efficiently within all the access of all these concepts in efficient buildings, so that the horizontal and the vertical proportion balance is lost, and the mechanical systems become more important. And of course, there is the migration to urban areas and industrialization getting more and more intensified. And with this system, the mechanical systems become more important. And with the increase in population, the actually efficient energy use has become a mandatory factor. Of course, the system, the HVAC system, the DOH systems, elimination systems, heating and cooling systems, based on this, the equipment, the design, these are the ones that have to be used, and it covers the technological advancements should be evaluated with all the aforementioned factors. Actually, the designers should follow a three-step method to make a more durable and less costly system to be achieved. There is the building design. When we say we, as the designers, building designers know, for example, the parts, the proportion ratios, the width and length proportions should be minimized, and it should be more in line with the nature. And there comes energy efficiency, as I pointed out. And of course, the recycling, the reproductivity, the conductivity sector should be taken into account, and it should not be forgotten that the energy efficiency should be involved as well, and they could be improved with the applications. And this is the first module. The know-how methodology is regarding the three modules. And the terminology, when we look at this terminology, we said that if in order to have low energy in architecture, it is a feasible know-how, feasible information, formulas. For example, the simulation methods and computer software can be controlled, and also technical data and information. This is the terminology as it means, and of course, this is how we approach to the buildings. So in the context of environmental approach from the design to construction and also operation and maintenance, the maintenance stages are important. Have a direct effect in energy use increase or decrease, and with the energy efficiency, the first investment cost, and along with the maintenance cost, the energy can be used in a more efficient manner. And when you look at this in terms of energy use, there needs to be a standardization, and all of the products in terms of products, and of course in the operational stages of the building to gain maximum in the maximum level, and of course provide the optimum comfort. This is as it means it is about optimum comfort and maximize the energy savings. Of course, the designers confront with problems such as starting from the design process. There are certain parameters and the natural climatic parameters, and also it will strengthen the concept of energy efficiency, this energy efficient design, and the materials and the construction techniques and the sites, they should be more integrated with the nature. Therefore, there is more direction to the traditional architecture, which is in line with the natural parameters. And such a design has become obligatory. So, of course, when we look at the technological applications, that should be concretized energy risk divided by benefit, and also the use, and also there are many parameters there has to be there, and also in the energy use in the buildings, starting from the energy gain, starting from the resource, it covers this. So here what kind of an energy allocation should be made to buildings, how the process of design and application process should be controlled, and the positive, what should be the positive impacts on the building. Only energy efficient, long-term durable and resilient and less energy consuming buildings and production of these buildings doesn't make us in line with environment. And we can say this, actually, you give the architectural value to that. So when you cover all the living organisms, of course, should be evaluated in terms of these paradigms. And we have to have an holistic approach. And this is one of the first teachings. And here, there is life cycle assessment. And we can see the raw material, the intermediate product as it is processed, and the transportation, then production, and there is with the processes of consumption and recycling. This shows the carbon footprint of this, and of course it should be evaluated in terms of LCA, life cycle assessment. It is a circulatory process in terms of the building materials. And when we look at the steps we followed in building energy consumption and recycling, from there should be integrated design. All the stakeholders should be integrated so that there should be a participatory system. Of course, the land, especially regarding the municipalities, metropolitan municipalities, the water, the precipitation water control, the elimination, pollution, and the formation of heat islands and biodiversity. Of course, these should be all taken into account, and the water, especially gray water and rainy water, should be there. And of course, this could be reused, and such applications should be followed. And in terms of energy efficiency, there are, of course, decreasing the demand, and this is the last stage, that there should be more alternative energy solutions. And of course, the materials for the construction should be more environmental friendly materials, and there should be more awareness and mindful use of these. And indoor air quality, of course, the acoustic and air parameters should be ensured with more compact systems. And in the artificial areas, these all affect the human rights. And in terms of the construction applications, there are only the specifications, and of course, all the projects should be more environmental friendly and should be commissioned in a better way. As Berk Bey pointed out, in the green building design, of course, it should be transferred to application in a very good manner. And also then the enterprise and operations are important. And the operational maintenance should be made accordingly. And of course, the values should be measured and very well analyzed in terms of energy efficiency. And of course, the last and not the least, it is about innovation, and the new design should be taken into account, and they should be within the system. So as if I'm to make a summary of this, I'm going to the end of my presentation. It's about energy resources from the production towards the consumption. There is a maximize the values and the energy losses should be taken into account, and the comfort structures should be evaluated, and it should be minimized. The energy consumption should be minimized. So here, since 2007, we can see what our country has gone through. You can see some legislation and the laws that have been enacted. And with that, with the law of energy efficiency, since after 2007, there is the energy performance regulation, and the energy identification document certificate become a mandate, an obligation. And when we look at the 2014 with the 10th development plan in terms of energy efficiency, an action plan is supported, and all the energy certification should be transformed and until 2023 with the Minister of Energy and the Natural Resources is for the use of energy resources in a better manner. So there are some developments in this regard. However, we have to, as I pointed out, from production to consumption in terms of materials, in terms of applications, we have to have a holistic approach in the construction sector. When we look at the energy and building integration in the first investment stages, the building and also sketches, there should be a harmonization, and in the building operation in a building operation costs, including electricity, fuels, and also of course the the electricity the consumption and annual maintenance and general maintenance, and following that alternative energy the mechanic systems should be preferred and planned accordingly. And of course the building is an architectural element, and with the new technology to be applied into this building equipment, energy resources, and also face should, of course, the advantages and disadvantages should be evaluated in the best manner possible, so that that the artificial environments will be more in line with nature. Thank you very much for listening to me and for your very kind attention. Thank you for the information that you provided. Now I would like to give the floor to Serdar Aslan. He's the General Director of Royal Cert Energy. Serdar Arslan is a graduate of Mechanical Engineering from Yıldız Technical University. He started with Empire Engineering as a project engineer, and with his experience in energy sector, in 2018, he was involved in many initiatives, and he's Royal Cert, which is an energy efficiency consultancy company. He provides the consultancy services and engineering services. So if there is something that you'd like to add, you can add, and you can start your presentation. I'll share my presentation. Thank you very much, Büşra Hanım. If as Royal said, we are providing service in different areas. And of course, with the Ministry of Industry and Technology, with the we are the certified institution from different ministries, and in 2011 we are providing energy efficiency and services, and most probably in terms of finance opportunities and development, I'll give an awareness raising information giving presentation, if you might say so, for my presentation.
Our expertise area, energy efficiency, is a global and multifaceted issue. And to realize our targets of energy efficiency, we need to highlight that the building industry and the buildings themselves are important tools. And the acquisition of energy procurement from outside Turkey has a rate of 70%, unfortunately. Also, our need for more quality buildings is increasing on a day-to-day basis, and our need for environment-friendly, smart, and zero energy, zero carbon buildings also are on the rise. As the building needs for this demand is increasing, we also need to improve the current building stock. And because we have building stocks that are not resistant to disasters, we need improvement, innovation, and restructuring as a more imperative need. Considering that buildings account for 40% of the energy consumption, the energy efficiency in buildings will enable us to decrease dependence on outside world, as well as achieving zero carbon targets. As we realize our energy and climate targets, refreshing the current building stock has a vital importance. Increasing building renewal ratio will lead to increased job opportunities in the business, in the building industry, as well as enhancing competition. We know that all these things are easier said than done. However, the barriers will continue to be there. But in order to achieve progress, we will need huge amounts of financial resources. Of course, for positive outcomes, we cannot say that success is impossible. With the action plans and energy efficiency targets for which we create strategies, we see increasing acceptance in our country, but the main question concerns how to achieve that target, and the construction industry plays an important role, and achieving that is possible through various supporting mechanisms and the development of incentives. Energy efficiency is supported by incentives, privileged loans, tax cuts, and other subsidies. And starting with the current building, we need to appeal to investors, municipalities, public institutions, sector-specific organizations, and universities, and increase awareness among them. Energy efficiency targets and roadmap would include the following. For more realistic targets, we should ensure that the buildings sector should be assessed as current and new buildings. Actually, the energy performance regulation concerning buildings requires us to use the term current building for those built before January 2017, and the new buildings for those built after. The scenario transitions require technical capabilities. That's why we can say that it would be more appropriate to determine the lower targets for the current buildings. Setting higher targets for the new buildings would be more appropriate. As is known, energy efficiency financing for in the buildings concerns many other industries. In terms of performance indicators, we can refer to increased investment ratios for energy efficiency, energy efficient components, equipment and system procurement, and public-private sector cooperation ratios. As for the expected outcomes, we should conduct analyses regarding the costs of these efficient components / equipment and systems. Also, we should support energy efficiency with realistic pricing and tariff policies, and energy efficiency consultancy companies should have cooperation with the public authorities. As for the market research concerning the systems that impact building industry's energy consumption, here it's important to analyze conditions and developments to determine right and realistic targets for the building industry. And here, one of the most important components is the understanding the current market sizes, low and changes for lawmakers. Here we can see building insulation systems, window systems, mono and multi-split AC systems, VRF systems, air conditioning systems, photovoltaic PV systems, hot water systems, and lighting systems for this analysis. As for the energy efficiency for the buildings in Turkey, with a focus on 2050, we can say that 4 steps comprise these approaches: the definition of baseline or average buildings, energy performance analysis, and the costs for average buildings, scenario property definition, and scenario characteristics definition, and scenario analysis. As we conduct an analysis on the current situation, we can refer to SWOT analysis. There are development projects by the Ministry of Energy and Natural Resources and the Ministry of Environment and Urban Planning, but we need an in-depth guideline for energy efficiency, and here financial industry, NGOs, public authorities, municipalities, private sector, and universities can join these workshops to support these developments. And here we should look at the demographic and economic indicators, as well as the situation of the building sector, energy generation and consumption, and energy efficiency information, as well as legal and corporate regulations about energy efficiency and the current financing methods to support energy efficiency in buildings, as well as financial methods used for this end in the industrial institutions, energy financing predictions for increased financing, as well as the current and example applications being taken as a reference. And in the SWOT analysis, we look at the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. That should be the approach acquired in the SWOT analysis. And we should look at the new trends and areas open for improvement, new products and services. Also, we can see them as threats, considering the current pandemic conditions. There are, we may see the emergence of various other scenarios. When looked at from a demographic perspective, Turkey has a huge population and a fast population increase. And here we should look at the increased rate of the buildings based on the new demand for housing. That means also buildings have an increased share in the energy industry. And Turkey has a more difficult to manage situation compared to other geographies. And here the capacity of the loading capacity of the geography can be expected to increase. Energy efficiency activities and applications require the creation of feasible legal legislation. Here we can think of mandatory legal regulations, voluntary applications, voluntary practice, as well as award and punishment systems. Here we can refer to the energy efficiency law, also energy performance in buildings regulation and energy efficiency strategy document. Also energy efficiency, National Energy Efficiency Action Plan was published previously. And here the action plans should be viewed as the roadmaps for the application of strategies as regulations turn into the application of laws. Actually, we can understand the application of legal arrangements and other foreseen punishment and award systems as they are practiced. And here we should contribute to the revision of relevant legislation with the action plans. Also, energy resources development regulation can be used as a reference, and energy performance regulation in buildings is important for the determination of reference values in building subsectors, as well as for the energy certification, and it has space for improvement. As for the building energy efficiency practices and measures, we can refer to voluntary and obligatory energy efficiency practices and measures determined by the relevant legislation, which are important gains not only for the energy, but also economy and environment sectors. And here, the people responsible for these surveys in energy efficiency, as well as energy management systems installation and application in buildings, play an important role. And legally speaking, energy manager is a must in industrial, commercial, and public buildings with a huge scale, depending on the energy consumption and building areas. And they are all important in terms of monitoring purposes. In public buildings, a construction size with 20,000 square meters or equal to 200 tons petroleum equivalent, tons of petroleum equivalent. Also, annual energy consumption can be 500 tons and equivalent. All these institutions need to have an energy manager, and this period is considered to be every 7 years, and they are obliged to communicate here the criteria to the Ministry of Energy and Natural Resources, as stated by Ms. Serdar. Energy performance certification is defined by energy ID document for buildings and or enterprises, and that's a must for getting relevant building licenses. The practices started for the new buildings in 2017, and for the current buildings, this transition period was referred as December 31st, 2020. However, because this is an initiative, building owners are not actually obtained densely, and there is no sanction about it. And here it is very important to conduct energy efficiency survey studies based on the building stock, based on the certificates energy rates, and the calculation method to be used for the generation of these documents should be easy to be applied to different types of buildings in a geography as wide as Turkey, and should be improved based on the example projects. Such certificates will enable us to determine energy efficiency measures in an accurate way moving forward. Energy efficiency consultancy companies conduct energy efficiency survey projects for building and industrial sectors, and they have an obligation to actually determine energy efficiency potentials and also enhance possible efficiency by applying relevant measures. And here they should also increase quality, ensure integration with monitoring, control, and verification systems, and also determine the functionality of different financial means. In energy efficiency, we see energy experts, public institutions, private and finance sector representatives, academics. So here there should be a goal of increasing awareness among these stakeholders as well as the general public, so that we can successfully achieve these targets. And we should also ensure that the central and local governments, local authorities support the energy efficiency awareness campaigns, as well as contributing to the definition of best practices, and relevant ministries support these campaigns and work actively, as well as other NGOs who publish relevant documents. In renewable energy use should be increased with these energy efficiency projects, leading to a synergy between each other. In other words, energy efficiency practices lead to economic gains, which are used as a funding for higher costs renewable energy investments. In addition to economic gains, the decrease of fossil fuel uses will lead to lower CO2 emissions. For making renewable energy investments more commonplace, governments need to support application incentives in local areas. Here there are financing methods, but existing tax reductions and exemptions should be incentivized, and the government should also have it as a policy priority. And actually, this is going to be the case moving forward, depending on our national energy action plan. International finance institutions provide many loan alternatives to projects. And in Turkey, we have TURSEF, Turkey Sustainable Energy Finance Program, which are created as joint programs to support the initiatives. For wider use of these loans, we need to have long-term, low interest conditions, and also monitor the outputs. Public-private sector partnership, third-party financing are important financing tools for the development of energy efficiency consultancy. For public-private sector partnership, also there should be a change to the competition law so that energy efficiency consultancies are a part of the public tenders. And here, the difference of the energy performance contracts used in the consultancy's energy efficiency practices is different based on the energy saving ratio that can be guaranteed. Such financing in such contracts can be provided by the relevant consumer or energy efficiency consultancy, as well as third-party financing like national and international financing institutions. And here, the consumer or the consultancy company must guarantee the repayment of the financing. And this practices should also be considered for the use of current saving potentials. And together with the regulation coming in March, public-private partnership examples are in place now, and the number of examples is increasing. Here, energy, economy, and environment triangle has come to the forefront with a low carbon economy transition in the world and the EU's agenda. And here, in addition to energy efficiency, renewable energy resources are also covered, and harmonization of Turkey's national, voluntary national offset trade can be harmonized by international examples. I would like to refer to future financing means that can be used for energy efficiency. In addition to current financing models, we need to determine possible new financing methods as that would contribute to the development and continuity of energy efficiency market. They include a government-supported National Energy Efficiency Fund, or efficient projects incentives, or the regulation of taxes and tariffs like electricity tariffs for buildings, also providing low interest loans to consumers and individual building owners, also arranging necessary legal regulations for the public and private sector partnership in the energy efficiency consultancy market, and making the financing support provided by third parties commonplace, as in the example of banks. And here we need to create relevant necessary database for building stock, as well as developing national measurement and assessment systems. Also, we should make energy management and energy manager and management applications commonplace and mandatory. Also, we should have mandatory energy efficiency surveys, and we should have mandatory energy certification for new and current buildings. Also, we should ensure that international know-how, technical support project means are evaluated for energy efficiency and renewable energy technologies. We should also create accredited laboratories, as well as increasing their numbers. Perception and awareness projects should also be supported, and international partnerships should be supported. As for the roadmap concerning for energy efficiency and financing, we should ensure that we have the building and energy sector terminology for national and international uses. We should also define government-supported energy efficiency enhancing projects and voluntary agreement support for buildings. Also, we should have energy efficiency targets for mid and long terms, and include different alternative scenario analysis, energy efficiency, national energy efficiency action plan should be prepared in a way to include award and punishment mechanisms, and also the building energy performance regulation should be revised in a way to overcome any problems. And the energy ID document should be amended, and when prepared, actually this should be used for the development of incentive mechanisms moving forward. Also, umbrella financing institutions should be, an institution should be created for energy efficiency, like Exim Bank, another example. And here, in addition to issuing energy consultants, energy efficiency consultancy condition, we should ensure that energy performance contracts are made commonplace in public, private sector projects. And here, energy efficiency should be integrated to all relevant policies in economy, disaster management, urban transformation, and environment strategy. And also with energy efficiency strategies, there should be strategic synergies. And here we should look at all propositions for areas of improvement, measures, and financing methods, and have international partnerships. And we should regularly follow, improve, and spread the propositions, strategies among these things. Also, we should not forget that the tax reductions as financing methods to enhance energy efficiency might look like a loss initially, but the important gains will enable us to turn these losses to gains moving forward. And here, this is an important development, not only in terms of environment, but also for the society we live in. So we're going to follow energy efficiency today and tomorrow to ensure that we pass on an habitable world to our children. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you, Mr. Serdar. You refer to financing support and its necessity for energy efficiency. Thank you very much for this illuminating presentation. We have a short time for the Q&A session. I can give you 2 minutes for each. We don't have Ms. Selcen among us. I can ask this question, Mr. Serdar, first. I would like to refer to this, if you don't have more details. We're struggling with the pandemic conditions, and we have come to discover this. The unit energy we consume for services and the costs for energy generation all appear costly, and we started to discover its importance. That's why actually we are glad to see that there's this emphasis on financing. Thank you. I would like to also ask these questions. Can you give information about the necessity of energy survey in buildings? And do you think it is applied as much as necessary in our country? Together with the communique published by the Ministry of Energy and Natural Resources, there are certain administrative sanctions and fines, but because the inspections are not exactly carried out, its practice is not that comprehensive. But as for the communique, yes, it is a necessity to conduct an energy efficiency survey in buildings. As I stated in my presentation, if the total construction area is over 10,000 square meters in the public, also if the total construction area is 20,000 square meter or annual consumption is 500 tons of people in other buildings, they need to have energy survey. Also, they may have energy, they must have energy management support from the relevant companies with the contract. Hopefully, both facility and building owners, as well as public building officials, are encouraged with this presentation. Thank you. Ms. Selcen, there is this question for you. In order to prevent losses in energy transition, what kind of measures can be applied? First, we need to ensure that we don't have thermal bridges concerning the raw materials. And in the building envelope, as I stated in my presentation, we should have components that are compatible with the climatic conditions and maximize the thermal capacities. And we can have different applications on different facades of the building. And we should also look to clean and alternative energy-based mechanisms for the control of the internal ventilation of the building. These steps all should be designed before the building is completed. Thank you, Ms. Selcen. I'd like to ask Mr. Berk a question. Together with passive house standards, can we actually meet the principles and conditions of these passive house project with other initiatives that put pressure on the project? I think they can be combined, because the passive house concept provides a completely different perspective where we have actually push further for design purposes, and it is a very, actually, it presents a very pleasing outcome. In addition to this certification, the project owner, when he or she wants a high efficiency, actually building performance, we can ensure that these principles are applied together with the others, because we don't have to limit all these specifications. And sometimes, due to shifts in roles between contractors and owners, a very nice passive house system can be combined with other specifications, and living cycle concept can be actually integrated with passive house components. Having such an association in Turkey is a very, I think, positive situation for all of us. Okay, we have completed the amount of time allocated to us. Thank you very much for sharing your experiences and informing us on important subjects. Mr. Berk, I would like to thank all of you on behalf of Zero Build platform. I wish you a very enjoyable evening at the end of the third day. Thank you. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.